My name is Benjamin Benhart. I am 18 years old and I'm currently finishing up my senior year of high school at Troy Buchanan High School. I didn't really grow up in a Christian home. Christ wasn't something we talked about regularly. I don't know, it was just all throughout elementary school, I kind of, tiptoed around the idea of God. I had some good family friends that were devout Christians, but it never seemed like something that really appealed to me. Come middle school, when I was in 7th grade, I actually became a hardcore atheist. I started trying to prove the gospel wrong, actually, to a lot of my peers. I was just shallow and didn't really have much to live for back then. And then from the summer, going from my 7th to 8th grade year, I was 13 years old. Over that summer in June, I was on a vacation with my aunt and uncle, and the day before we were supposed to leave at 11:30 at night, my aunt gets a phone call from my sister with news that my father had just passed away. My aunt and uncle get me and my brother in the car at 11:30 at night. We're in Chicago, and we drive all the way back through the night back to Troy, and the entire time I'm just in shock. I just didn't know how my life would progress. And I remember we pulled into my driveway and my aunt turned around and looked at me and said, "I didn't want to tell you because I was hoping that we would learn more information by now, but your mother is also missing." I remember sitting there and my grandma having to tell us everything that had happened, about how, while they weren't sure, they were pretty sure that my father had killed my mother and then killed himself. Just listening to my grandmother say that about, and having to explain to her grandchildren about how her own son had done that, just absolutely, it just wrecked me. And I remember going downstairs and getting on my knees for the first time and talking to God. And I wish I could say the conversation went differently, but the first time I ever talked to God, I just said as many curse words as I knew. I cursed him. I was so angry. I was so angry at him, and I'd never acknowledged his existence before this point. I sat there and I was like, how can I be angry at something that I've always been so adamant doesn't exist? I've always said that God doesn't exist, and how can I now just conveniently create him when I want to, just so I have something to put my anger on? And I just tried to earnestly pray to God, and I felt this extreme peace at a time where there was nothing peaceful about my life. When I stopped cursing God and asked God to enter my life, I felt this peace. I told myself I can't live the rest of my life on the fringe of God. I can't not know if he's real. I can't always just be kind of atheistic and kind of believe in God when I want to. And so I decided I was going to take this whole God thing extremely seriously for the next 2 weeks and just see what the heck happens. And I went to church and I tried praying earnestly more, and I started reading my Bible, and those 2 weeks, I just kept it going. There was no reason to end it after those 2 weeks, because what I found was something real. If North Road activated completely and got the student building and all the children's renovations and everything like that, and more importantly, we see the individuals of the church, the families, being on mission day in and day out, I think that would really shake the foundations of the world when you think about it. Because I mean, when Jesus is speaking to his disciples, you're supposed to preach the gospel to Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth, right? And so I think for us as individuals, we have the opportunity to really impact our local area around here, the Lincoln County, but at the same time, like, God has the ability to use us to reach the ends of the earth. And I very well think that that's not only possible, I think it's very probable. There is a lot of broken students in our community, and I think fully activating as a church where we have students leading students to Christ, we have neighbors leading neighbors to Christ, I think that will fundamentally change our local community and potentially the entire world. When I was 13 years old and going through the worst time of my life, North Road as a whole was welcoming and loving in a way that I didn't think that I deserved. I know I won't be the last middle schooler, high schooler, any person really that's going through a time like that and needs to be able to turn to the church. I think having a loving and welcoming church that's fully activated, fully on mission for Christ, will just absolutely change the lives of those individuals.